Hey everybody, my name is Lowell and welcome to the channel. So a couple of months ago, I did a hockey video, which I know nothing about. We jumped straight into a rivalry, no clue what was going on. So I thought we'd do this one. This is going to be the entire history of the NHL. So let's jump in and let's have a look at this.
Like 100 years ago, and here's what it looks like now. So how did we get here? Well, it all started when a group of Canadians in Montreal wanted to create a winter sport that was as fun as lacrosse, but could be played on ice.
Oh.
And boom, just like that, we got hockey. But at first, the game was complete garbage. I mean, they used wooden sticks that broke all the time, no real protection gear, and the puck was basically just a block of wood. Yeah, players were getting hurt left and right, and the games were super messy with no real rules. They didn't even have proper ice rinks, they just played on frozen ponds whenever the weather was cold enough. The game quickly evolved, and by the early 1900s, they were using rubber pucks instead of wooden ones. They also made nets with actual goalies instead of just putting sticks on the ice to mark where the goal was. And the very first professional hockey league was formed, the IPHL. These guys were actually getting paid to play hockey, but the pay was trash, like 30 bucks a week. That's about $900 in today's money. Still not great for getting your teeth knocked out every game. A few years later, another league was created called the NHA, creating teams like the Montreal Canadiens and the Quebec Bulldogs. These teams had actual uniforms and fans who would pay to watch games. The NHA was making so much money that a bunch of businessmen in the western part of Canada were like, hey, we want in on this. So they made their own league, the PCHA. And by 1917, hockey was getting so popular that the team owners from the NHA reorganized and formed the NHL. But the NHL only had 4 teams at first, and one of them, the Montreal Wanderers, had their arena burned down after just 6 games. Talk about a rough start. The remaining 3 teams had to finish the season with smaller rosters than today's NHL teams. But in 1923, one of the greatest players of all time made his NHL debut. Montreal Canadiens legend, Howie Morenz. I mean, he was so good that they called him the Mitchell Meteor and the Stratford Streak. The dude won 3 Hart trophies as league MVP and led the Canadiens to 3 Stanley Cups. He was so fast that people literally thought he...
So what is the Stanley Cup named after? They never kind of mentioned that. They might later on in the video, but what is that named after?
He was flying across the ice. Then, in 1942, Maurice "Rocket" Richard joined the league. A man who could shoot a puck so hard it would break the boards and score 50 goals in 50 games when nobody else could even score 30. The next 25 years were a dark era for the NHL. In fact, it was almost the death of it. In 1967, the league tried to double in size from the original 6 to 12 teams, creating franchises in random places like Oakland and St. Louis where people barely knew what ice was. Not only that, but a rival league was formed called the WHA, stealing over 300 NHL players, including Bobby Hull, who they paid $1 million.
Oh, that's not pretty. Damn.
To completely unheard of money back then. And by 1976, the NHL was down so bad they were letting players with full-on mustaches and long hair play in games while wearing barely any protective gear. The Philadelphia Flyers won 2
Oh my God, everybody's got their teeth missing. I guess it really is that, you know, you really are going to lose your teeth. Damn.
championships basically by just fighting everyone. They were called the Broad Street Bullies because they spent more time in the penalty box than actually playing hockey. TV ratings were trash and arenas were half empty. Nobody cared about the NHL. But right before officially going bankrupt, the league was saved by 2 unlikely heroes. This is Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux.
I've heard of Wayne. I haven't heard of anybody else. It's amazing, kind of started off real popular, then obviously died off, you know, different leagues and all that kind of stuff. Probably lucky to hold on. Dang.
2 of the greatest hockey talents the world had ever seen, though they didn't start playing in the NHL at the same time. Gretzky debuted in 1979 and could see plays before they happened like he had a time machine, while Lemieux joined in 1984 and was 6 feet 4 inches, but moved like a ballet dancer with rocket boosters. They absolutely destroyed scoring records that had stood for decades. Gretzky once scored 92 goals in a season, when the next best guy scored 54. Meanwhile, Lemieux once scored 5 goals, 5 different ways in the same game, even strength, power play, shorthanded, penalty shot, and empty net. It became the hottest thing on TV, with millions tuning in to watch their incredible talent. Between 1988 and 1992, Gretzky and Lemieux officially became global superstars, with Gretzky going to the Los Angeles Kings in a trade that made Canadians cry actual tears, and Lemieux leading the Pittsburgh Penguins to back-to-back Stanley Cups. Meanwhile, the NHL expanded into markets like San Jose and Tampa Bay, where people had literally never seen snow before. And oh yeah, in 1992, the league updated the instigator rule, giving an extra penalty to players who started fights. This was the NHL's way of saying, hey guys, we're a skilled league now, not just dudes punching each other. In 1986...
I mean, I guess you got to kind of get away from that. It's kind of same kind of thing as rugby as well, sin bin and all that kind of stuff they introduced, to stop the fighting and actually play rugby.
A 20-year-old player named Patrick Waugh was averaging a 2.97 goals against average with the Montreal Canadiens. Nothing special, but it was enough to help bring his team, the Canadiens, to the Stanley Cup playoffs as an underdog. And it was during that playoff run that he made a name for himself. In the finals against Calgary, with his team down 3-2 in the series and facing elimination, he did this. He stopped 28 shots in a row, many of them with guys literally crashing into his face, and pulled off 3 overtime wins in a row. The crowd was chanting his name so loud that the arena was actually shaking. Waugh popularized the butterfly style of goaltending that every single goalie in the world now copies. Patrick Waugh was ready to take over the hockey world, and in December 1995, when Roy was traded to the Colorado Avalanche, he instantly became a star, winning the Conn Smythe Trophy as playoff MVP and looking like he'd be the face of the game for years to come. But at the start of the 1996-97 season, disaster struck. During a game against Detroit, a massive brawl broke out between the teams, one of the biggest hockey fights in history, with 11 players getting ejected. Waugh, who was a goalie, actually skated the entire length of the ice to fight the other team's goalie. The NHL fined him and handed out suspensions, but nothing as severe as $25,000 or a 10-game suspension. Meanwhile, another player was emerging who would challenge Waugh as the face of hockey. By the early 2000s, we saw more players with flashy equipment, colorful pads, and curved hockey sticks that could shoot the puck at crazy speeds. Guys like Jaromir Jagr were rocking long flowing mullets, while others had custom painted masks with crazy designs. The NHL had gotten a complete makeover. Players were no longer just tough guys from small Canadian towns. Now they were coming from Russia, Sweden, Finland, and the Czech Republic, bringing new styles of play that focused on speed and skill instead of just hitting people. Even the jerseys changed from traditional designs to weird 3D logos and colors that looked like they came from a sci-fi movie. By the year 2005, Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin were dominating the league. They both entered the NHL in the same year, with Ovechkin going to the Washington Capitals and Crosby to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Ovechkin won the Calder Trophy for Rookie of the Year, and Crosby quickly became one of the league's top scorers. It was a thing of beauty watching these two compete for every award. Connor McDavid was only 16 years old, but he was already destroying Canadian junior hockey leagues with incredible point totals, while skating so fast that cameras literally couldn't track him properly.
Oh my God. I can't even skate. Just watching him is just amazing.
But while everyone had their eyes on McDavid, something sinister was going on in the background. A team owner by the name of Bruce McNall was running a massive fraud scheme. He was scamming banks for millions of dollars in loans he could never pay back to fund the Los Angeles Kings. McNall was literally changing the history of the NHL with each player he signed using fake money, including Wayne Gretzky himself. Eventually, the FBI got involved. After an investigation, McNall pleaded guilty to multiple counts of bank fraud and went to prison. When he got out, he was bankrupt and forced to sell the Kings. The craziest part? McNall was on the NHL Board of Governors at the time he was arrested. This dude was literally running part of the league while committing massive fraud. But the 2000s weren't all bad. In 2008, the league saw the beginning of the salary cap era, and the Detroit Red Wings were made up of 3 NHL legends, Nicklas Lidstrom, Pavel Datsyuk, and Henrik Zetterberg. These guys were so good together that opponents literally couldn't get the puck from them. For the first time in NHL history, teams were intentionally building through the draft instead of just buying the best players. The Red Wings had found these 3 guys in the late rounds of the draft. Datsyuk was picked 171st and Zetterberg 210th. This forced other teams to actually develop players instead of just throwing money at superstars. Teams started hiring European scouts, and buying fancy analytics software to find hidden gems in places like rural Finland and obscure Russian leagues. By 2012, the league had hit one of its lowest points, going into a complete lockout. Basically, the owners wanted more money, the players said no way, and the NHL shut down. They canceled 510 games and threatened to cancel the entire season. So with nothing to do all day, stars like Ovechkin and Evgeny Malkin went back to Russia to play in the KHL, while others organized charity games where they wore jerseys with NHLPA on them instead of team logos. Patrick Kane even took a job as a cashier at a grocery store in Buffalo for a publicity stunt. No one knew if this was the end of the NHL. But finally, after 113 days, everyone came to a new agreement. The players got more rights, the owners got a bigger cut of revenue, and fans got hockey back. The craziest part, this was the third lockout in 18 years. Can you imagine any other business shutting down 3 times and expecting customers to come back? With the NHL finally back, Sidney Crosby lived it up in Pittsburgh, going to 3 Stanley Cup championships in 2009, 2016, and 2017. Hockey was witnessing a new GOAT emerge with his insane backhand shots that goalies couldn't stop. But, there was a team in Edmonton with a player named Connor McDavid who was about to change the NHL forever. McDavid could skate faster than anyone in NHL history, and I mean anyone. He was clocked at 40.9 kilometers per hour. That's faster.
Oh my God. 40 kilometers on ice?
Than the speed limit in school zones. The league had never seen anything like it. Defensemen who were considered fast would look like they were standing still when McDavid zoomed past them. He once went from his own blue line to score a goal in just 3.2 seconds. Goalies were complaining that they couldn't even see the puck when he shot because their eyes couldn't adjust to the speed. He made veteran defensemen who'd been in the league for 15 years look like they were playing their first ever hockey game. Meanwhile, international players have continued to take over the league, with stars like Leon Draisaitl from Germany, Austin Matthews from Arizona, who learned hockey in Switzerland, and Andrei Vasilevsky from Russia, who basically built a wall in front of the net with his insane flexibility. Draisaitl became the first Germans to win the Hart Trophy as league MVP in 2020. Matthews scored 60 goals in a season, and Vasilevsky won back-to-back Stanley Cups while being virtually unbeatable in playoff elimination games. Suddenly, the league's best players aren't even Canadian anymore. By the 2024-25 season, only a handful of the top scorers hail from Canada. It's like nothing the league has ever seen before. Even the coaches are getting more diverse. Teams are hiring Finnish, Swedish, and Czech coaches because they bring different systems of play that North American teams weren't prepared for. But what nobody saw coming was a worldwide pandemic. Headlines like NHL joins NBA in suspending season due to coronavirus and hockey world in shock as pandemic forces unprecedented shutdown became the norm. The NHL was forced to completely shut down for 4 months. Luckily, the league cooked up a plan to bring hockey back. What they came up with seemed insane at first. They created 2 bubble cities in Edmonton and Toronto where teams lived, ate, and played in complete isolation. Players couldn't see their families for up to 3 months, had to eat meals alone in their rooms, and got tested for COVID-19 every single day. The Stanley Cup playoffs were held in empty arenas with fake crowd noise pumped in through speakers. Instead of home ice advantage, they just put different virtual backgrounds on the screens around the rink. Players said the weirdest part was scoring a huge goal and hearing absolute silence instead of thousands of screaming fans. Now, here's a problem no one seems to be talking about. The NHL's most popular players are getting really old, and we're about to witness the end of an era. The typical retirement age for an NHL player is 33. Meanwhile, Alexander Ovechkin is 39 and still chasing Gretzky's all-time goal record. Sidney Crosby is 37, and Evgeny Malkin is 38. Steven Stamkos is 35, Carey Price is 35-37, and Patrick Kane is 36. Even youngsters like Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are already approaching 30. These guys have been the face of hockey for the last 15 years, and the crazy part? Their bodies are taking way more damage than players from previous eras. The average player now skates 5 miles per game at speeds up to 30 miles per hour and takes hits from guys who are 30 pounds heavier than players from the 1980s. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? These dudes are about to retire, and the league is about to look a whole lot different very soon. The NHL currently has 32 teams, but plans to expand to 34 with new franchises in places like Houston and Quebec City. And with how much the league has changed already, Who knows what we'll see in 20 more years? There's already talk about microchipped pucks that track speed and location, removing fighting completely from the game, and even the possibility of women playing in the NHL. This really is the end of an era and the beginning of something new. If you enjoyed learning about hockey's crazy history, smash that like button and hit subscribe. We're working our butts off to bring you content like this, and it takes countless hours of research and editing. Every subscription helps us keep making videos about the sports history you love. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.
So that YouTube channel is NHL Hero. Definitely go and check them out as well too. But that was interesting history. You know how it started, became really popular, kind of fractured a little bit, almost went bankrupt, completely disappeared. But as he said there, you know, all these superstars now are getting older. You know, 30s, mid 30s, late 30s. How is it going to look when you get these guys who come up who are bigger and stronger and faster? And, you know, it's going to look completely different. As he said, you know, guys now are 30 pounds heavier than they were, you know, 30 years ago. So it's going to be interesting. But that was very good video. Very good video. Interesting to see, you know, obviously starting off with no safety gear as it is like American football, etc. And then obviously things get faster, you know, the puck gets slicker, becomes rubber, and, you know, moves quicker. You know, even the hockey sticks are changing, you know, so you can shoot faster and everything else. It's just like the evolution in safety as well too. So it's interesting there is saying about women becoming in the NHL as well. I mean, I'm sure they can play, you know, they can skate as good as anybody, but I don't know, maybe if they take fighting out, but I don't know if I'd want to get shoulder checked if I was a lady in the NHL against the glass. I don't know. Maybe, who knows? So, but that was very interesting. Very interesting. As I said, did a hockey video a couple of months ago. Don't really know anything about the game. But that was intriguing for sure, how it changed. You know, that guy that, you know, was doing the massive fraud as well, the LA Kings, and it's just like, yikes, you know, that kind of stuff can really kill a league. But even after all those stoppages, you know, the shutouts, COVID, you can't kill it. It's still going. I think that's a good thing to take away, you know, from those shutouts and everything else. You can't kill hockey. It's still going to come back. You know, they're just as tough as their players, you know. The fans will be there, you know. So I really like that. Interesting video. If you want some more hockey reactions, let me know down in the comment section. If you've got a suggestion, let me know down there too. So guys, thank you very much for joining me today. Make sure you stay safe. I'll definitely see you in the next reaction video. Oh, you're still here? You want more content? Why don't you check out my Patreon down here? You'll get plenty more content and some exclusive videos over there too. If not, why not check out this one over here?